Good evening, friends. We are meeting again after a long time. In the last lecture, we talked about N1, M2, M3, and M4. That's types of monies. N1 consisting of notes in circulation, coins in circulation, cash reserves with bank. M2, savings deposits with post office savings bank. M3, M1 plus time deposits with bank. And M4, that is M3 plus total deposits with Post Office Service Organization, excluding contributions to NSC. We have tried to understand what exactly is money, what are the types of money, how is money printed. Today we are going to talk about determinants of money supply. Money supply, it's a total quantum of money that is available with the public and financial institutions for spending in the economy. That is what we call it as money supply. Now, how do you determine how much money is required to be pumped into the system, to be printed, to be minted? How do you decide? What are the determinants of money supply? There has to be certain mechanism by which you can decide about the quantum of money to be supplied. What happens in the case if too much money is there in the system, it leads to inflation, right? And if the money is sucked out of system, if there is not ample amount of money to spend with the public, what happens? Deflation sets in, right? First inflation, then deflation. Exactly the opposite of inflation. Inflation, too much money chasing few goods. Deflation, no money chasing a lot of goods, right? So, put it simply, there has to be certain mechanism with RBI, with the government, to print money or to push money into circulation. There are two, in fact, today we are going to talk about three aspects. One more aspect is going to be left that we'll see. Let's see how it goes out. First determinant of money is high powered money or reserve money. Now, what is it? It consists of currency issued by government as well as by RBI. You might be wondering why there is the government also prints money and RBI also prints money. RBI prints money according to monetary policy. Now, what is monetary policy? If you remember, to print money, you have to keep certain reserves of gold that we had studied last time. How does the RBI prints money? The legal tender, right, that is to be printed, that is the fiat money that is to be printed, is done by RBI. The money which is based on trust, that is called as fiduciary money, is printed by government. This organization prints money during normal course of or during normal phases of economy. Government pushes money, prints money based on the two types, recession. When there is recession, it tries to push money into the system, prints money into the system based on trust, right? So hence there are two agencies that are involved in printing of currency. High-powered money consists of currency issued by government and RBI, which is partly held by public called as CP and partly by banks as reserves called as R. This currency is partly held by public for consumption. It is partly held by banks. Again, this money is also the money of the public, which is kept as savings with the banks And banks, amongst from those money which is kept as savings in the bank, keeps aside some money as reserves, right? Now that reserves are held by the banks partly and they are kept partly with RBI. The banks which keep the money with RBI, they are known as CRR, right? Try to understand. High powered money consists of currency issued by government and RBI. This whole currency is partly held by public for its own consumption and partly held by banks as reserves. Now banks get this money from the public as part of their savings. Banks keep that money as reserves, right? Keep some part of those savings of the public, some part of the savings of the public as reserves. And amongst those reserves, the banks keep some money with itself and some money with RBI. Hence, high powered money H is equal to CP plus R, right? CP plus R. So, money supply is determined by quantum of high powered money or reserve money. Reserve money. If this much money is required, say for example, how much money does the public want to hold? How much money that the banks want to keep themselves as reserves? According to that, the money is supplied. And this is what we call it as high powered money or reserve money. Another determinant, money multiplier. It is degree to which money supply is expanded due to increase in high powered money. Simply put, more the high powered money, more money is going to be multiplied. Now how? If public is having more money in their hands, they may invest, they may spend, or they may keep aside some money as savings, which again will be held by banks as reserves. Some part of that money will be held by the banks themselves and some part money is going to go back to the RBI, right? So this is how the money is multiplied without actually printing the extra currency. Now this money multiplier leads to a concept called as size of money multiplier. Money multiplier. What is that? Ratio of total money supply to the stock of high powered money. Total stock of money to reserve money. This is what we call it as size of money multiplier. Now why it is relevant, we are going to study in the coming lecture. Just to give you a brief understanding about the determinants of money supply, these are the three concepts that I have taken today. Maybe in the coming times, we may think of taking one more aspect of money supply or determinants of money supply called as K. This is the ratio of money supply to the stock of money held. Now, one more concept we are going to study. This is the R, that is the money that is kept partly by banks and partly by RBI. Now, what happens because of these three aspects? Now, these are the three determinants of money supply. If money supply will increase when supply of H increases, right? Obviously, that is money that is held by the public and by banks. If it increases, total supply of money in the system, it increases. Or if this K decreases, that is size of money multiplier, if it decreases, more money is going to come into the system. Supply of money will be enhanced. This is a ratio of high powered money to total money supply. High powered money to the total money supply ratio. If this decreases, more money is released into the system and more money is supply. Or this R, if it decreases, money is pushed back into the system. This is generally the first attempt that the banks do in times of when the recession starts to set in. Now, what is a recession? Recession is, simply put, few money into the hands of the public to spend. Now, how does the RBI do in the first phase, when the initial phases of recession? The ratio that is held by banks as reserve, that is cash reserve ratio that is held by the banks, that ratio, that percentage is decreased. That decreased amount is again going to come back into the system as part of money supply. So money supply will increase if this high powered money increases, if the size of money supply that decreases, and you can see if the reserves, they are decreasing with the bank. So simply put, whatever you see around, these are the determinants of money supply. If this R falls, money is going to be supplied in large quantities. If this reserve money increases, money supply is also going to increase. If the size of money multiplier decreases, money is going to be supplied back into the system. Simply put, these are the determinants of money supply. Now, what are the factors that determine money supply? Or why is the need for money to be supplied into the system? Number one factor that determines the quantum of money is how much the government wants the money for its own spending, right? How much the money government wants for its own spending. That is what this is included in budgets. If it wants to say spend on infrastructure projects, how much money that is needed, that also determines money supply. How much money that is required by private companies or by the public for consumption, right? To run the economy, to move the economy, government also spends, private sector also invests money. For that investment, money is also required, or money supply is made. Budget deficit. Say for example, you make a budget, the government makes a budget. Government has on one side revenues and the other side it has got expenditure. If revenues they fall short, government needs money to be supplied into the system. That is called as revenue deficit or budget deficit, right? So that budget deficit, the quantum of budget deficits also determines how much money is to be supplied into the system, right? From where it is going to get that deficit sorted out? That deficit is going to be sorted out from the money which is with the RBI. What does the government do there in that case? If the budget deficit is more, it increases the quantum of money which is held by RBI as part of CRR. It increases the CRR quantum and it gets the money back from RBI with itself to overcome the budgetary deficit. That means whatever deficit, this money is whose money? This money again is the money of the public. So whatever money public has at its disposal, that money is again sucked back into the system by the government and it tries to reduce the budget deficit. Now why it wants to reduce the budget deficit? Because it is spending more. And if it is spending more means again what? That money again is coming back to the public. Right? So what does the government do? The government simply tries to take the money from people's pockets, circulates it, goes through different pockets and again comes back to the pockets of those people from where it has taken that. This is the mechanism by which the money keeps on moving, circulating. And it is rightly said, recession starts to set in when money is stuck somewhere in the economy. So, what is recession? In other words, money stuck in certain section of the society or certain sectors of economy. It's not moving. Economy is growing, economy is developing only when money is circulating freely. It's moving. It's not staying stagnant at one place. That movement is enhanced by the government and RBI. Right? So far, this is all for now. Take care. Thank you.